How many times have you promised yourself to do something and then just didn't do it? I will start on Monday. This is the week I eat clean. And the thing is, when Monday comes and you are still in bed, the salad turns into fries, your screen times look like you're trying to text God at 2 a.m. or whatever. And the uncomfortable truth about this, if you can't hold a word to yourself, you can't really hold one to anyone else. And I have a simple metaphor for this. And this is your word is your currency. If you're constantly printing fake money for yourself, you become a shady business partner you'd never trust. Just imagine this. Imagine you have a business partner, a friend, or whoever, and he's always printing fake money and pushing it into your business. There will never be a moment where you don't get consequences for this. And that friend that you have, or that shady business partner, is your subconscious mind. So I have a simple saying for this on how to understand it. A lot more simpler than you actually think it is. And that is a baseline. Your baseline isn't your potential, it's your default setting. It's what you think back when you're tired, stressed, or just got back from a vacation that fried your brain with mojitos. The baseline is simply, where is your factory reset? Imagine you put a factory reset on your iPhone. It's basically the same, but it has a deeper rule than this. Because it isn't something that you can buy with money. It's genuinely one of the hardest skills, the most valuable skill you can ever have, and at the same time one of the most short-lived skills you could ever have. Just like imagine you have a tennis pro who takes 2 years off to become a professional napper or whatever, just doing basically nothing near tennis. When he comes back, he's not the champ. His body's like, oh, we are doing this again. Okay, fine, fuck it. The thing is about this is that this moment that your brain says, oh, we're doing this again, fuck it, we're going to do this now, is that in tennis, when you take 2 years off and you did it maybe for, let's say, 5 years, in those 2 years that you stopped, you need maybe like a few weeks to get back and you instantly are back on the professional stage. There are so many people that are professional player in any sport you can imagine and that took a lot of time off and didn't do anything but doing partying and everything, and they took, when they want to get back into the league or wherever, they took maybe half a year or a year and got better and stronger after that. The same can goes with your mindset in terms of holding the word to yourself, but it's something different. And what you could do is obviously blame it all on the caveman brain. What I mean with this is your brain is always a paranoid survivalist. It's never to the point that your brain is there just chilling and accepting the situation that you have currently. It's never that. Your brain is always on the moment of trying to survive. That's why you build fat. The only way you build fat is because your body can keep it for long term, for longer times when you don't have anything to food, or any food, anything to eat or whatever. It's basically stuck in the Stone Age. We are a fraction of a percentage of the time when we are survivalists to the 3 meals a day times, like right now. Because your brain thinks that every single feast would be your last. And this is why you are just chilling and enjoying the moment that you have, because your brain doesn't know what comes tomorrow and only knows what used to be. And obviously all the experience you have is something else than your primal mind has. Your primal mind has all the different times when you needed to be fasted for an extended period of time, because every single 5 days you have a mammoth that walks over, I don't know, a grass patch that you build a trap or whatever. But this is just never to the point that right now you can copy this, and that's why you need to build an artificial type of caveman brain. And there's a stupid simple math behind this. So people ask me, how long does it take to recover? And there's a really easy way to estimate it. I hate math too, so just stay with me. That the time it takes to recover is roughly equal to the time you spend breaking the trust. And the trust is meant to yourself. If you broke your trust for the last 2 years, it does mean that you need to rebuild your trust for about 2 years. Because that is just how you need to be operating to the maximum to get back to that baseline level that you were before. To that perfect state. That's why, for example, Conor McGregor was so perfect and now can't go back to those good times, because he can't go for 2 to 5 years, or how long he ever broken his trust basically to himself, to build a family, build businesses, whatever, which also is great. I don't mean that it's bad, but if he wants to get back to the MMA stage, he needs to have 2 to 5 years of consistent doing the hard work, holding a word to yourself. Because that is the only way you can actually get through this and get back to that stage where you really want to be at. So let's say, for example, you are disciplined for 5 years, then party for 2 months. You're not snapping back in a week. You're not saying, yeah, on a Sunday, on a random Sunday while you just had the rest alcohol from Saturday, and say, you know what, I'm going back to the gym. It doesn't really work that way. You can't just, it's rarely that you can stick a whole week while all those months before you didn't or couldn't hold a word to yourself. So it might take a solid 60 days to get back to your baseline back. And it's not punishment, it's basic physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite period of you being lazy on the couch. And you need to fight that guy being on the couch. You don't need motivation. Motivation is a fair weather friend. You need a system, a stubborn bouncer that doesn't let your lazy ass back into the gym or into the club. Let's start with the first step. Step 1, the task. This can't be easy. You need to take a task that genuinely will take up a portion of your whole week. If you have a 9 to 5 and you really need to work from 9 to 5, then let's say, for example, when you get home, you instantly do your workout. If it's a home workout or you go to the gym, but you do it 5 times a week. This is your task. This is your challenge. This is your golden trophy that you always wanted or whatever. It's all about, can you do that 5 days? So for example, like I just said, gym. Like for example, you can do writing 1,000 words a day, or for example, no sugar for the week. Could be anything. Now, let's say you found your baseline. Let's say, for example, on Sunday, you thought to yourself, you know what, for this whole week, for the next 5 days of my work week, I'm going to the gym every single time and work out as strongly as I can do. Now comes the second step. Because if you look at any human in terms of school or whatever, there's always punishment. If you didn't learn and you didn't do your task right, you get punishment. You get a bad grade, you need to, I don't know, get some extra classes or whatever. This is all kind of a punishment. So even in times back in school, you always had punishment. And there's specific things that you can do. For example, let's say, for example, you skipped a day. From those 5 days, you did 4 days instead of that 5 days. And your punishment now is 48-hour fast. Just water and pure regret. This is what I would do if I wouldn't stick to my word. I would put on my list, I missed 1 day and that's why I need to do this. And the punishment, for example, is a 48-hour fast. For example, you ate junk and now you need to, for example, I don't know, donate $100 to a political party that you hate. Or you now need to spend a lot of money for a good cause. Even a good cause, even just because you spend a lot of money, could be a positive punishment, basically. Or another thing is, you, for example, scroll too late and you said to yourself you want to go to sleep at 1 and you instead go on, I don't know, at 2 or 3. Then on that day that you messed this up, because it's not about the week where you, for example, stayed up late, right? You can't just recover from this. You missed essential hours of your sleep, so you now need to be just waking up at 5 a.m. with 3 hours of sleep, do an ice shower for 5 minutes. Because that is real punishment. You will be fucking sleepy and then that ice cold shower will be hitting you like a fucking rock. And that is what you need to be doing. The pain of the punishment must be greater than the pain of discipline. Your inner caveman understands pain. The punishment back in the day, if you couldn't kill that mammoth, was that he will stomp you. And that's what you need to basically artificially, without harming yourself, do again. So let's say, for example, you ate like shit for the whole week, or you drank too much alcohol or whatever. You did something you would really regret. Then the next day, you need to walk, for example, a half a marathon or whatever, without even training. Because that is the punishment that it needs to be done. And the third thing is you have punishment, but what is the opposite? If you, for example, really have done the 5 days with the gym, and you really pushed yourself in the gym and everything, you've done everything right. You get the reward because you kept the word to yourself. You need to be able to reward yourself. You can limit the reward you will be getting or wanting to get by how often you hit that goal. Like for example, if you let's say for the last half a year, every 5 working days you have gone to the gym. Your rewards shouldn't be the same as the first week that you started than for the last one that you recently have done. Let's say, for example, this week it's, for example, ice cream. Pretty simple. Everyone knows about ice cream. For example, you done it, you can have it on Saturday or Sunday. You have to, as many people talk about in this coaching or selling courses type of stuff that are all scammy, is that they all tell you delay gratification. But the only way of delay gratification is if you hold the word to yourself and then reward yourself for it. Which also means, for example, the ice cream or whatever. For example, you can, I don't know, smoke a cigar with some friends or whatever. Anything. And the ice cream will taste like victory. Or for example, you can allow yourself from some cake. It's the best damn ice cream you will ever have in your life. Because you earned it. That is the main thing. If you really want to buy a car and you have the money right now, wait a month and do even more work. Do even more of everything you need to be doing. Like for example, going to the gym and whatever. And you will appreciate that car till this day. Because you are not like a raccoon just finding a leftover burger somewhere. You're genuinely just needing to work for it. So what does happen if you just skip your punishment? You go into debt. And that is self-debt. It is worse than any government debt you can own. Because owning the government is scary, like for example debt or whatever. They just send you a letter. But owning yourself something, your subconscious is a ruthless shark. It bites you down every single time you do this. If you're conscious about it, obviously. It charges basic, tax or interest, however you want to call it, in guilt and shame. It whispers to you, in your ear, you are fraud. And you can't argue because you have the receipts. You owe it to yourself. You know it, that every single person that hears us right now, you owe to yourself the best life you could ever have. And the only way you can get through this is if you keep that 24/7 dummy in your head under control with things where you need to be either punishing yourself or rewarding yourself for those times when you were good or when you were bad. The people who get everything without earning it are the most miserable. They don't enjoy anything. If it takes away, they blame the world. They're like toddlers who have never heard the word no. It's always, okay, you can do it. Fuck it, you can do it. And let me be honest, this is hard. This is the hardest skill to learn and the easiest skill to unlearn. There are so many things you can do to control it better. For example, doing with friends. But every single time when your friends aren't there, you need to be that person that just sits there and needs to suck it up like you're a sick person still needing to go to the gym. Again, you have this little dummy 24/7 in your mind. Just, he wants instant gratification. He's that survivalist. He wants food now. He's hungry now. Your insulin needs to get spiked right now. Your dopamine needs to get spiked from this right now. And why not learn to be that boss of that dummy? Every single millionaire I have talked to, my old boss, many other people, have all talked to me and said there was a period in my life, and some of them were still in this time, where they are just holding every single word to themselves and doing delayed gratification, punishing themselves to a misery that they couldn't even think about themselves, right? Imagine you have a punishment for something, like for example, you didn't go for the 5 days to the gym. 48-hour fast doesn't seem so bad. But when you're at that 36th hour and you know you need to have 12 hours of still doing fasting, you will hate yourself for not just going to the fucking gym. Because going to the gym is just a little bit of pushing up. It's just pushing yourself to go there. It's just some push-ups, some pull-ups, some chest press, maybe some bicep curls. That's it. It's not that it is unreasonably hard to go to the gym, but if you have a punishment, you fear yourself to not go to the gym. And that is what you need to have. And very important for this, start small. Hold just one word to yourself every single day. Even if it's just, before I go to sleep, I will brush my teeth. It is just so stupidly simple. And if you can do this for multiple weeks, and do this in baby steps, very important. I jumped to those bigger punishments and I need to still pay off the debt. It's so crazy. Don't do that. Start very small. For example, next time I'm not going to the gym with my headphones, and hold your word that you go to the gym but without your headphones. Those are just small actions that you need to take. Or that you even go to the gym once a week, then twice a week, then 3 times a week. It is just one thing, one punishment and one reward. And prove to yourself you can be trusted. Because as I already said, if you can hold a word to yourself, then it's the only time you can hold a word to other people. Because then your world will actually be worth something. Another very important thing is to write down every single time you did something good. I know this sounds like you're a little toddler or you're like the journaling kid on a fucking crypto convention or whatever. It's not about this. It's genuinely every time you did something very good. You did, for example, you gone 5 times to the gym and pushed yourself extremely. Then you will write it down 5 times a week, and then you write down your punishment to what you could have as a punishment, and what your reward will be. And then you can see, okay, I had the reward for this, what I've done back in the day. I can have either the reward again, or I can lower it, depending on how your logic is stated in that moment. If you're really motivated, you can really just push your reward down for that week extremely and see how your brain reacts for that instant minus reward that you should have. And for the other thing is the punishment. You need to write down what your punishment should have been. Because also write down your failures, but when you write on your punishment of what it should have been, you can kind of see, okay, I can do this punishment again if I do that, or if I miss, for example, a workout in the next weeks. So you always, as stupid as it sounds, have fuel on how to punish yourself. I know that sounds crazy. And if you needed to punish yourself, write down how you punished yourself and what you have done. Because it is 2 things. One, every time you wake up in the morning, you need to, for example, wake up at 6:40 or at 5 in the morning or whenever, and you're really pissed off, you don't want to go to that cold shower, you don't want to do your push-ups, you don't want to do anything, then you have your notebook or wherever, and you have written down every single week, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and I've kept my word to everything. Then you see your track record. You don't need a track record from anyone. You don't need external motivation from, I don't fucking know, some kind of damn Brazilian guy or whatever. You don't need that. Not that I'm hating him. But you have your own motivation because you can just look in your book, see, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this for the last month. I can do another week. I don't fucking care. And if that week is over, you will still be happy that you did 5 weeks of no punishment. And then the next week comes, and then you say, oh, you know what, fuck it, I'm doing 6 weeks of no punishment, and I'm extending my workout routine. I'm extending how much I'm cutting on weight. I'm extending how much more money I'm saving up. Anything. And you do this, and you write it down. You write it down. You write it down. You will see how, strangely enough, your life will change because your subconscious just understands winning is the only way. And the same way goes, if you have a punishment, make it, for example, mark it in a big X. Because you know, with a strong fighter mindset, you know that you have a punishment right there. You need to be working that those punishments will never happen again. This is the mindset you need to have. Not this soy boy stuff, oh, punishment is not something you should be doing. You need to be healthy to your mind or whatever. You have 24/7 in this mind.